Tornadoes of fire, flames engulfing entire neighborhoods, homes leveled, tens of thousands evacuated. Right now, nearly a dozen fires are burning near San Diego. Next.
Book your travel now on AA.com.
Anyway.
This is News 10 at 5.
I felt like a bomb hit or something because everything's completely destroyed. Just so sad.
It looks like something you'd see after an airstrike. Burned out homes, intense smoke, walls of fire.
The whole roof and all the framing caught on fire, and it was really intense.
Tonight, hundreds more families have been ordered to get out as wildfires continue to burn Southern California. Right now, for the third straight day, it is fire versus firefighters. Thousands of homes evacuated, thousands more without power as fires continue to rage, new ones seemingly starting every minute. More and more resources are being called to this firefight, including crews from Roseville and Sacramento. And with the flames spreading so rapidly, the word arson has been mentioned more than once. In fact, someone was detained earlier today, but then later released. Christina now in the newsroom with the very latest.
It is an all-out assault. From the air, helicopters are doing what they can with water drops, and from the ground, it is an uphill battle. 10 fires are now burning in an area of about 14 square miles amid a heat wave and extremely dry conditions. The most destructive in the hills of Carlsbad and San Marcos near San Diego. Those two fires have torched 9,000 acres and more than 24 homes. And while the record heat continues, there is some positive news. The winds may die down a bit, and that will make it easier for firefighters. Meanwhile, the hunt is on for the cause of the fires, and as more of them pop up, officials are not ruling out arson.
If it's of a criminal nature, we'll persevere prosecution of the appropriate parties.
95% of fires are started by people, and that can be, pulling a car off into dry brush. It can be anything. We're going to be actively investigating all of these fires to determine what the causes are.
So far, these fires have caused $22 million in damage, and the governor has already declared a state of emergency for the county of San Diego. And while you can be sure before this is over, the damage estimates are going to be much higher.
Christina, thanks. It's horrible. Well, officials are hoping cooler temperatures and reduced winds from last night will help firefighters battle a number of dangerous wildfires in San Diego County. Devin Dwyer now with the latest on those efforts.
In the hills of San Marcos, California, it's a major firefight from the air, planes and choppers making pass after pass.
It's about to dump its load right there to protect this home, going off to fill up again.
The blaze has charred more than 800 acres and is still on the move. Near the Cal State campus, staffers used hoses to fight a fast-moving flare-up. Firefighters here are battling near record heat and dangerous winds.
Be alert, heads up, and when you're asked to evacuate, evacuate.
Thousands of evacuation orders are still in effect after fires across Southern California have already destroyed or damaged dozens of homes.
I saw the smoke coming above our unit, and it turned suddenly super black. So headed that way, it was a wall of fire.
Where the fires have subsided, some residents are being allowed home, though extreme heat, low humidity, and high winds have millions of Californians on high alert.
A very dangerous fire season, the worst fire season that we have seen in a long, long time.
Investigators are hunting for clues on what set off so many fires near San Diego, at least 9 in the last 3 days. The number of fires spread over a small area has raised suspicions of arson.
But firefighters say their top priority is putting out this massive blaze that is getting dangerously close to the Cal State University campus. The winds here are blowing it out of control. Devin Dwyer, ABC News, San Marcos, California.
Local Metro fire crews geared up and headed out to the San Diego fire lines. More than 25 fighters in their trucks en route to help. We caught up with the crews as they prepared to go. They're seeing the same conditions develop here due to lack of water.
We've been having, I know for myself, probably about 3 or 4 vegetation fires last week. I had one at Prairie City OHV Park. Got about an acre and a half there. But when those fuels come around within the next 2 to 3 weeks, the grassy fuels, all your other fuel loading up throughout the foothills into the mountain range is ready to burn because we don't have the water to keep the moisture in those fuels.
Placer County also sending a strike team down there to aid with this fire. Wildfires ravaging the West Coast have created the scary phenomenon of firenadoes, dangerous columns of flame that suck in debris and spew out embers for miles. On World News tonight, local fire chiefs are going to talk about how challenging those firenadoes are to fight.
All right, and taking a look at our weather pattern, all of this is going to start to change. Thankfully, the gusty winds in Southern California and extreme heat here for Northern California, and that's because this low pressure system continues to push its way towards the coast. Today, we saw a little bit of that cloud cover breaking through that high pressure ridge, unfortunately, creating a bit of humidity throughout the valley. Right now at about 10 to 15% throughout the region. A little bit closer to the coast, we're at about 30%. It did feel just a little bit sticky outside for today because of that cloud cover. That cloud cover, though, helping to keep us, for the most part, below those 100s. We're at 96 degrees right now for Sacramento, only 93 for Stockton and 91 for Fairfield. Nice to see those 70s back for San Francisco at 76 degrees. Over the next 24 hours, we are going to see a cooler weather pattern develop for the valley. We'll see a few high clouds. Highs will be in the low 90s. While we're talking about the chance for rain coming in next week, not just in the Sierra, perhaps for the valley as well. That would be welcome relief. We'll have more on that coming up.
We'll take it, Monica. Thank you. Well, this man coming up, Melvin Baldwin Green Jr., is behind bars tonight after officials say he kidnapped a 16-year-old girl, held her against her will, and forced her into prostitution. Redding police say the teen was able to escape and flag down help. She told officers she had been abducted about a month ago from the Sacramento area. Investigators were able to catch Baldwin Green through an internet escort ad. He now faces several charges, including kidnapping, human trafficking, and prostitution charges. Well, today we learned the name of the 31-year-old mom of three who was killed inside her home while she slept. Police say Tamisha Ridge was fatally shot by her ex-boyfriend. This young mom had a large YouTube following, inspiring thousands through her love of fashion. News 10's Carlos Saucedo shows us how Tamisha touched many lives.
Hi, everyone. Happy late Mother's Day.
Tamisha Yvette Ridge, known to many of her YouTube followers as Misha, used social media to spread her knowledge of fashion design onto others.
Thanks everyone who came out to the fashion show to meet me.
Thousands of people were drawn to her videos on putting together clothing pieces on a budget. She had more than 140,000 subscribers to her YouTube channel. Her charismatic personality and simple tips on sewing inspired many. But her life abruptly came to an end Wednesday morning when she was shot in her South Sacramento home. Homicide investigators say Tamisha's ex-boyfriend, Demishlo Green, snuck into her bedroom and opened fire while she slept. Several relatives and her 3 children were inside the home.
And I hate she had to go that way.
We spoke with fellow fashion designer Lauren Taylor. She was one of Tamisha's followers all the way from Mississippi. She would watch her videos daily.
Had a wonderful, beautiful spirit about herself, always smiling. You got the impression she was a really nice girl that really just loved to sew and wanted to share that with the world.
Tamisha also had an online fabric store where fans could go and purchase some of her designs. And her loyal fans have now turned to social media to mourn her loss, where the hashtag Misha Taught Me has been trending. One follower writing on Twitter, Tamisha Ridge was the first person to convince me I could sew. She has been such an inspiration. Rest in peace, sweet Misha. In Sacramento, Carlos Saucedo, News 10.
We're also entering the 15th day of a massive California manhunt for a former CAL FIRE battalion chief accused of killing his fiancée. 55-year-old Mo Fleming remains on the run. He disappeared the 1st of May after his 26-year-old fiancée, Sarah Douglas, was found in their home strangled and stabbed to death. Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies say Fleming may have shaved his head and mustache. New tonight, take a close look at this car. Recognize it? Sacramento police say the people in it are armed and dangerous. Detectives believe this is the car that 2 gunmen were in before and after shooting into a birthday party in Peregrine Park Saturday night. Partygoers returned fire. The car is a mid-2000s gold Ford Taurus. The suspect description is extremely vague. 2 black men in their 20s.
Demonstrators gathered quickly here at this Jack in the Box for about half an hour to protest the treatment of fast food workers. It's all part of a coordinated effort in cities across the country. crowd rushed inside the restaurant chanting, calling on fast food companies to pay workers $15 per hour and allow them to unionize without retaliation. Outside, protesters stood in front of a car headed for the drive-thru before clearing the path for the driver to pass. Protesters identified themselves as employees from various fast food restaurants across the region.
What do we want?
Some started the day early at this McDonald's on Howe Avenue before moving to the Jack in the Box on Arden Way. In a statement posted on its corporate website, McDonald's wrote, quote, "We respect everyone's right to voice an opinion." The company goes on to say, quote, "We respect the right of employees to choose whether or not they want to unionize." In California, the minimum wage has been $8 per hour since 2008. It will increase to $9 per hour this July and to $10 per hour in 2016. But protesters like Alicia Moten insist they deserve $15 per hour.
We feel we deserve it. Most of the people who say we don't deserve it are people who haven't ever worked fast food. Once you actually work fast food, you will understand why we are doing this.
The restaurant is back open. The crowd had dispersed by the time a sheriff's deputy arrived, and there were no reports of arrests.
Gabriel, thanks. Comments about today's protest came pouring into our Facebook page. Here's one from Nancy Granada. Almost every fast food restaurant my family has ever eaten at hire both physically and mentally handicapped people to work there. Mentally and physically handicapped people want to work. They want to be as self-sufficient as possible. And if unions and other ways are used to force higher wages, especially $15 per hour, there will be many handicapped people who will have to go to disability or welfare. Well, one woman decided to get injected massive dose of measles vaccine, enough to vaccinate 10 million people. Now, why would she do that? We'll try this on for size. It may have cured her cancer. This is my wife's side of the garage, pretty well organized. That's my side of the garage. I think we have a pretty good idea what I'm going to be doing this weekend. Do you have a pack rat in your family? We'll talk about that coming up. Check in with Christina. What's new tonight? News 10 at 6.
He asked for your help and you delivered. RJ Kahanali has a brain tumor and the only doctor who will operate is in Houston. Tonight we have a great update on the family's fundraising efforts. They've shattered their first goal in just a day, but they still need help. They are to their second goal of $20,000.
It was her only link to her family. Sold at auction and thought to be lost forever.
These are the most important things in my life.
The amazing journey of her final family memory. Friday at 5 and 11 on News 10.
Closed captioning brought to you by Sleep Train, saluting our heroes this Memorial Day.
We are one step closer to fast lanes on the internet. The Federal Communications Commission voted today to move forward with a proposal that would allow broadband providers to charge companies like Amazon and Netflix for prioritized access to consumers. The proposal is now open for public comment for the next 4 months and could be changed before a final vote. So what really is net neutrality? Why should you care? Net neutrality is the concept that all internet traffic should be treated equally. Internet service providers, or ISPs, like Comcast or Verizon, control how you access websites and content. Think of ISPs as the freeway on which your content travels from a website to your home. Like this animation from Mashable.com. Right now, there's no regulation of how ISPs treat traffic from different websites. An internet governed by net neutrality would bar providers from creating special toll lanes for certain users. Everyone would have the same speed limit. Well, do you have plans for the weekend? How about some spring cleaning with your partner? Tossing out things you really want to keep can be a real marriage disenhancer. Is there a pack rat or clutter collector you're dealing with? Who's worse, men or women? If you're like me, most of the things you're storing end up somewhere in your garage. And when I start tripping over stuff, it's time to organize. There are reality shows about people like me. I'm pretty sure I'm not hoarding, just busy, and the whole garage cleaning thing is on a list of things to get to. It may be best for me to box some stuff up and find a neat place for it or else. So what do women do with stuff they see as useless?
Surprisingly, men are very sentimental about things. I have found that with many of my clients that the wives are the ones who are trying to get rid of the men's things.
Here are things women toss out that we don't know about. Sports memorabilia, like my 1988 Giant Spring Training plastic cup. Fitness equipment, anything I haven't used in the last 3 days. Old CDs and DVDs, things she doesn't like or as good as gone. Sorry, Brooks and Dunn. Magazines, we won't get into what kind, and artwork. Men have vastly different tastes. Artwork, trophies, as you can see, I pretty much have all the stuff on that list here in my house, not so safely hidden away from Mrs. Gray. So I do have a theory on all this. I do need a reason to throw things out, and I really never have a reason to throw things out.
Well, it's not an excuse, but do you really necessarily need it? Because if there's something that you really do think you'll need, then you can keep it, but it needs to be organized and labeled.
Kim has the one-year rule on clothes and stored items. If they haven't been used, worn, or looked at in that period of time, donate it. This is Kim's garage, very much an example of what you're supposed to do. Things are in seasonal bins, labeled and put up on shelves to make it easy to find. The neatness and space saving also allows her husband plenty of room to use the garage as a sports bar man cave. In this garage, everybody wins. For those of us who want organization like this, it's a tough garage to live up to. I think everybody likes the box that I had in our garage where I had put Monica Seasonal so that I could put away all your seasonal clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
I just like Walt's shoes, which I kid you not, a cardboard box, Walt's shoes that is about up to here, 3 feet high.
There's some college shoes in there that still might work if I'm camping at a KOA. Why would I want to throw them out?
College towel, college shoes.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not saying you're not a spring chicken, but those things are a little past their prime.
Maybe it wasn't a very good idea to bring her out here for this part of it. All right. Thank you, Monica. I do appreciate that. Well, is it possible to have too much of a good thing? What if the good thing is exercise? Coming up, we'll have a look at surprising new research about exercise and your heart. We're looking forward to a little bit of a break from the heat and from allergies. That's going to be happening anytime soon. Monica Woods with what we hope is a cooling forecast coming up. Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. Monica, we're both kind of running around today and a little bit of haze out there. Does that help keep the temperature down a little bit?
Typically, yeah, and we hit highs in the upper 90s so far. We haven't gotten the official reading, so it's pretty impressive that we had that haze for today and we still hit highs in the upper 90s. It's all because this low pressure system is starting to make its way towards the region. That's really what's going to give us a much cooler weather pattern headed towards the weekend. You can see how those clouds steadily increase, still with us at this hour throughout much of the valley, and that has helped to keep these temperatures down ever so slightly. Highs so far for today, 98 degrees for Stockton, awfully close to the century mark for Modesto at 99. A little bit cooler from Sacramento at 97 degrees. I'm finally back in the 80s for the Bay Area. Here's our live look outside. We're at 96 degrees right now. West wind starting to kick up at 13 miles per hour. That will help to clear out the air quality for tomorrow. We're still in the unhealthy for sensitive groups range for Sacramento and Stanislaus County, so just be aware that during the afternoon that air quality will be an issue for those two regions. Low pressure system is on the way. That will help keep us a little bit cooler over the weekend. Still mostly sunny. We are going to be quite breezy though for the Sierra, especially into our Saturday and Sunday forecast. As that low starts to track its way inland though, look what happens for the beginning of the next work week. It will just be north of us as we start off the next week, and then it starts to slide its way southward. At that point, we're going to bring in a slight chance for showers moving through the valley and for the Sierra as well next week, Monday and Tuesday, even a slight chance for a thunderstorm as well. Well, speaking of rain, we always talk about this El Nino. When was the last big El Nino? It was actually back in 97, 98. You can find out more on news10.net why we are talking about a strong El Nino pattern developed. Look at these two images back in 1997. This is some of the warmer waters down there in the southern in the Pacific there, and this is what it looks like right now. So you can see those waters are starting to warm, giving indications we may be in for a strong El Nino by the next rainy season, which we would desperately need. Temperatures in the meantime are going to be quite mild, in the 70s for the Sierra for our Friday forecast, 80s to near 90 heading down the hill. We pick up that chance of showers and thunderstorms thunderstorms coming in by Monday and Tuesday. It'll be breezy this weekend as we start to see some of that cooler air work in. 71 for San Francisco for tomorrow. Finally in the 80s for inland areas, will be in the 80s to right around the low 90s for much of the northern San Joaquin Valley, and we'll track that all the way through the Sacramento region as well. 7-day forecast. Wow, this looks really great after 2 days of near 100 temperatures. We're finally back in the 80s towards the weekend. 70s next week. That slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm. Thunderstorms aren't particularly great, especially with this dry weather, but we could certainly use the rain. Looks like that will be north of I-80 though, so Stockton and Modesto should stay dry.
You had me at massive rainy season coming our way.
Massive. Okay.
Massive El Nino. Thank you, Monica. Well, why would this woman receive a massive measles vaccine enough for 10 million people? How about if it cured cancer? Her spectacular story is next. Well, we have what we think you might consider good breaking news. Caltrans has just notified us that the eastbound work of the Fix 50 project has finished early. We're looking live at the project area right now. That means all lanes will be back open tomorrow morning. The full transition should finish by about 7 a.m., which is great news for commuters. Well, we always hear we should exercise more, but can you do it too much? German researchers have found that overdosing on exercise may be bad for your health. They looked at 1,000 heart attack survivors over 10 years. The ones most likely to have another heart attack or a stroke were those who exercised the least. No surprise there. But those who got the most exercise also had a higher risk of a repeat heart attack. The study backs up past research showing that too many Ironman races can wear out your cardiac system. Well, for 10 years, Stacey Earholtz battled a blood cancer called multiple myeloma. She was running out of options last summer, and that's when the Mayo Clinic chose her to be part of an experimental treatment. Doctors injected Earholtz with a very high dose of the measles. They essentially hone in on cancerous tumors and make them explode. The concept is proven successful in mice, but Stacey became the first person to receive a massive dose, enough to vaccinate 10 million people. So far, it's worked. Her cancer is gone.
I have felt just fabulous ever since. It was the easiest treatment I've had in all my 10 years and the least amount of side effects.
Wow. Mayo Clinic researchers hope to have FDA approval for the treatment in the next 4 years. 10 million doses. Finally tonight, I don't want to reignite the flames from earlier in this newscast, but this is going to be a brutal fire season up this way. If you watch what's going on down in SoCal, it's a warning of what can and will likely happen here. CAL FIRE says we're already into fire conditions now that we normally see in September, and we're just mid-May. You know, somebody in the Tinder Dry foothills is going to spark a grass fire while mowing his field or toss a cigarette racing by on Highway 50. There's not much we can do but wait. El Dorado, Placer, Calaveras, and Yuba counties, among many, they are barbecues waiting to happen. It's going to be a brutal fire season in Northern California. It really is different this year for all of us.
Yeah, well, as you can see with temperatures near 100, it just continues to dry things out. Tomorrow a little cooler. We'll be at 93 degrees for an afternoon high. Pretty nice actually. Tomorrow morning 62 to start us off. And Friday forecast, feels good.
I like it. Next news at 6, folks. Have a great night.